Well, hello everyone. I am Leif Hetland, and I do have this pleasure of just taking a few moments, first of all, to say thank you. Thank you to all of you who are out there that has been faithful, that has been praying, that have been giving, but also giving us an opportunity to be going, to take the gospel, the good news, into the darkest places in the world. What a privilege it is for us to be in the light and in the love business. Light is winning against darkness, and love is winning against fear, because perfect love always casts out fear. As many of you know, we just finished a little over a 5-week journey pretty much around the world. Started out in Turkey with a little visit in Turkey, and then into Qatar, where there was actually 64 nations together from all over the Arab world, Africa, Southeast Asia. It was just phenomenal. We were working with a church and a movement there, and it was so beautiful to watch both the baptism of love and the transformation that was taking place. A lot of healing, a lot of inner healing. But to be able to be there in that beautiful country, a country that is gathering so many expats, meaning people from all over the world, and then realizing that many of those people, from surgeons to educators to so many people, the stories and the testimony, how their life was being impacted and changed, how that is going to affect nations. And then from a whole different world, we landed in Islamabad, the capital city of Pakistan. And there we had the honor of meeting the previous Prime Minister of Pakistan. As soon as we arrived at the airport, actually, the Grand Imam was there, Marcus Fida, our leader, and they took us around. We went to Marriott Hotel, and then we started, as I said, to meet the chairman of the Senate, who is actually also was the Prime Minister of Pakistan some years back. And we got to actually meet with other governmental officials, and it was so beautiful just to be able to again be reminded of the favor that God has given when we've been faithful now for 30 years of sowing into that beautiful nation of Pakistan. And then eventually we went to Quetta, a little plane into Quetta, which is right there on the Afghan border in a state called Baluchistan. And this has been on my dream list for years, because Baluchistan is considered the most radical, the most difficult, the most challenging, and it's the last place in the nation that we have not been able to penetrate with the love and the light of Jesus. And there we were going to have a peace conference, International Peace Forum, where we're bringing in the top Sunni Muslim, Shia Muslim, government official, all these leaders together in one setting. And I was invited to be a chief honorary guest together with, similar like the Prime Minister of the state. They call him the Chief Minister. Here was something that was very unique that I found out. It's the first time in the history of Baluchistan that women were able to attend this event. Something that I've dreamed of and kind of have been pushing behind the scenes for years. And another major miracle that have never happened in the world, in the history of that country before. We had a woman speaker in the front of the scholars and the imams and the leaders there. And I knew that part of my calling is to help to open up the veil and to give a voice for the ones that don't have a voice. But it was a very special time when I shared the message of love in that room. I love the language the blind eyes can see and the deaf ears can hear, and you literally saw the atmosphere was changing. And in the end of that meeting, as many of these scholars were speaking, the Grand Imam says, would you give us a prayer? And I prayed a blessing over Baluchistan, over Kuwait and that region and area in the name of Jesus Christ, and just released the presence. And later when we had a dinner with a lot of the scholars and the leaders and the police and the special forces and everybody was in there, they started to share about just the experiences they had. I was so overwhelmed again by the unique and the incredible favor that God has given, not just favor with him, but also favor with some of the most beautiful people I've met. That people say this is one of the most dangerous places, not when you're in the light business and you're in the love business. And from there we went back again to Islamabad, and we went to meet with a persecuted church. Here we had pastors and pastors' wives and leaders from all different denominations. The Catholic bishop, the Anglican bishop, all these people were together. And they were so dried and traumatized. There's been floods, there's been so many hits, and they've had so many struggles and opposition. And I struggled just even to be able to minister, but knew that I had to just focusing on the love of God for the first day. And for the first day, all we did was just allowing them to experiencing the Father's love. Encounters and encounters with the love until it's eventually fear started to move away and the walls started to come down. And the next day we started to release physical healing. There was one way that 70% of all the sick people just got healed through just one of the prayer that was released in the room. And then testimony after testimony of transformation, of healing, from suddenly a tailbone that had been broken that was healed, and this lady is sitting up and down, and there was story after story of transformation. And I realized again and again the value of what we're doing, that we are investing in love, the one thing that changes everything. And then we ended up from there and went to the Philippines. Stopped by again in Turkey and then over to the Philippines. And in the Philippines we had this national youth event, and again got to see God moving in the next generation in the Philippines. So many young people that was hungry for more, and they're looking for spiritual fathers and mothers that can release a blessing over them into their assignment for their nation. The worship that was there was just incredible. The hunger that was there, the honor that was there, and again we saw a move of God's Spirit. And then I got a few days of Sabbath and rest, and it was probably one of my most significant things. So thank you also for investing in rest, because from that rest we started to have some incredible, beautiful encounters. And then Kaylee and the rest of the team, they showed up, and we started, and the team went out ministering in prisons and ministered among the poor, ministered to the broken, and it was just a very beautiful time of ministry. But also in the middle of all of that, when the sun was shining, the next moment there was a typhoon. There was one typhoon while I was on my vacation, and then there was one typhoon during the ministry time. But in the middle of the typhoon, in the middle of the storm, we had a lot of beautiful team members that had learned to find rest in the middle of the storm. And we just allowed Jesus to use this storm for us to be able to use this for something good. So we were actually able to bless many, many more people, that if the storm hadn't hit, they wouldn't have been in a tragedy or in a situation. But now the byproduct of that, we have a team that represent good news when there is bad news. And as a result of that, there was another wave of uncommon favor. So we were with the GMA family, and for me it was precious because they also did a little surprise early 60th birthday presentation, and it was so precious to get greetings from all over the country. And I realized the last 20 years of investing into that family, now we're seeing a whole new generation that is coming about. To think in generation, it has been worth it, because now we see a 3-generational move of God's Spirit that is taking place, not just in that nation, but also the greetings from the nations that is around. And then eventually, the last part of the trip and the last part of this journey, we went to Mindanao. That's kind of the Muslim area, and there is a little island right outside where we visited 2 of our spiritual daughters who's doing a phenomenal work. They actually taking care of people that have gone through a lot of tragedies, that has had a lot of pain and a lot of brokenness, and they are loving them back to life. And we as a team had the honor to going and coming alongside them. And again, it was one of those things, because I just watched the pictures. It's hard for me to talk about without crying, because if you had seen person after person after person, and if you heard the story of some of the things that some of these little girls has gone through, when they talk about human trafficking, when we're talking about sex slavery or some of those different things, until you meet a little girl and you have perhaps daughters or you have grandchildren, granddaughters, and realizing that there is an evil world out there, and there is an enemy who tried to kill, steal, and destroy, including is trying to steal people's identity, destroy their value, and destroy their dreams. But watching during the days we were there and hearing this story, and you again see the transformative power of the gospel and the transformative power of love, what that can do in somebody's life. It is life-changing. What a privilege that we have to meet with true heroes who live in this, but for us also to coming in and serve the ones that are on the front line. That's also so much part of our assignment. The reason I'm sharing all of these things with you is just for you to get a little taste, and you're going to get to see some videos and pictures throughout this season of some of the things that God did, because the testimony of Jesus is the spirit of prophecy. But I want you to know, according to 1 Samuel 30, the ones that goes and the one that gives will get equal share in heaven. You were there with us, all of you who invested. And I'm thinking about people all over that said yes. And there's other ones that have invested before, and this is still also a byproduct of your investment. So again, thank you for trusting us and for investing in the kingdom and join the GMA family to make it hard for people to go to hell and easy for people to go to heaven, because they get to experiencing a God just like Jesus through people like you and I. Love you.